guys ready?
Second, I was like, what?
Call this meeting to order of the Board of Franklin County Commissioners, Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. Janet, roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Harris.
Present.
Chair Dunn.
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Waitmeyer.
Present. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
Before we pray, I'd like to read a short verse or passage out of John chapter 19. And the Bible says, while Jesus was hanging on the cross, after this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now a vessel full of sour wine was sitting there, and they filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a hyssop, and put it to his mouth. So when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, It is finished. And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit. As Jesus wanted everybody to hear this, the other gospel says he said it with a loud voice. It is finished. Tetelestai. This meant it has been accomplished. It was used in the courtroom to say that the sentence has been fully paid, served. It is used in the banking industry to say that the debt has been fully paid. It's used in the military to say the battle has been fully won. Our Lord Jesus comes and wants us to know that he offers a salvation that he has fully provided for, fully paid for, fully accomplished for all of us who will just simply trust him for this. Let's pray. Father in heaven, I come to you today and we just say thank you for the salvation that our Lord Jesus won for us on the cross of Calvary, for the sacrifice you made, and I pray that we give you the homage, the faith, and the glory due unto you for that. Now, as we meet together, I want to say thank you for a wonderful, great country, that our communities have the freedom to come and govern themselves and take care of our matters, and that we can be a free land, that the churches can proclaim your word. We come, Father, and I ask you that this meeting will be easy, that things will be clear, and where it is not, I pray that you will give concern and wisdom to these great, precious souls. I thank you for the work that they do to try to be a servant and to try to be a blessing to all of us, and I pray that you will bless them for their work. I ask now, Father, that as they meet together, that everything will be done for the betterment, for the benefit of all of our people. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. The first thing up for business is correspondence, and Derek, do we have anything besides Rodney?
No, just have a discussion with Rodney, so if you want to come on up.
Morning, Rodney.
That time of year again.
Yeah, welcome.
We shouldn't have the audit report. I just finished it this morning, so it's hot off the press. Everything went really well. We do have something we need to review about, though. Back in the 2020 audit, you spent more than $750,000 in federal money, so we had to do a single audit. As part of that, we had to do a schedule of your federal awards. One of the awards that you got in 2020 was like $46,000, $49,000. Well, $46,000 from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and it was for the ambulance service to replace lost revenue due to COVID. We reported that on your schedule last year. HHS says you shouldn't report it until they have the reporting portal fixed to be able to report it to them, which wasn't until in 2021. So they want us to go back and take it off the 2020 schedule and show it in 2021 instead. So I'll be making a change to that here in a few days. I don't know why, but that's their rules, so. Now, this year, you didn't spend 750,000 because you got all your ARPA money, but didn't spend any of it. So we didn't have to do a single audit for 2021, but we will this year, I'm sure. Each year, you pass a gap waiver to waive generally accepted accounting principles the first of the year. That wasn't done until January of this year for last year. That really ought to be done like your first meeting of the year. Because if you don't pass that, then you're supposed to keep your records differently than you do. So it really needs to be in place. I talked to Janet about it. She's gonna get it. If you haven't done one for this year, you need to go ahead and do
You
it.
just did.
Just, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. You had a new ambulance director in 2021, and in the past, your director came in every month and gave you a list of write-offs, and you would approve it and sign off on it. Your new director didn't do that most of the year, until the end of the year. I just want to recommend you do that at least every month, maybe quarterly at the least. But there needs to be some, make sure you guys are reviewing those and approving it and write them off, because that's a pretty significant amount of money that gets written off. You do insurance write-offs and bad debts and things. And we want to make sure somebody's approving that besides just him. So if you do it quarterly, that's fine, but we do need to see it noted in the minutes if you can. Like I said, everything went really well. You had no budget violations and no cash basis violations. Your balances are looking in good shape. You're fairly healthy financial wise, I mean, which is good. Last year we had an issue with the phone system billings not being caught up, and they were better this year. They've got a little more room to go, but they were better. So that's an improvement. The only real issue we had is the county attorney's office. They collect money for bad checks and bad check fees and things. They're not turning that money into the treasurer very often. She turned it in like 3 times the whole year last year. And it's mostly checks and money orders, but still, if it's in the office over there and something happens to it, you're still lost. I mean, it needs to be deposited with the treasurer and controlled, just like all your other funds. So.
On that issue, do you think they ought to submit them monthly or something like that?
I'd say at least monthly, yeah. If they get quite a bit at one time, I'd say good more often than that, but, if they have their normal collections, monthly is probably fine. But just make sure it gets turned in. That's really all I have to go over there. Like I said, everything went fine. You've got good staff. They did a good job for you this year. Things went real smooth.
Any questions for Rodney about the 21 audit? And we also have a contract for next year as well. But before we get to that, any questions?
Yeah, I kind of been here a long time, and I know Rodney's been doing that for us. And always been pleased with how smooth everything seems to go, in work, and he's not scared to tell us we're doing something that has never been nothing bad. But I guess, that's what his job is to inform us if we're going a little astray one way or another, get us back on course again. So that's all I gotta say. Just very appreciative of the detail. People out there don't see all the detail that you did provide us.
Yeah, well, and that's why we continue to contract with Rodney, is he's incredibly detailed, and and I don't say this negatively, but he's incredibly critical. I mean, and he doesn't take it easy on us, which is exactly what we want in an auditor. And so continue to be pleased with him. And I would be remiss to not say anything about this, but it's also kind of become the standard. I mean, I would be far more surprised if we did have budget violations or cash basis issues. So this went exactly how we thought it was going to.
And it's nice that instead of having to go through this whole report in 5 minutes, you can tell us the things that we need to work on.
Anything for Rodney?
I think we covered. I think Rodney did a good job, and
I appreciate working with you.
Any issues with continuing to utilize him and doing so in 2022 as well?
I make that motion.
Okay, Jen?
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris.
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson, Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes.
Might be a learning curve because we're getting new software. We'll have to figure that all out.
Yeah, I was talking to Jen about that.
Just beware.
How soon
It
are you
might not be
switching?
as simple.
How soon are you switching, do you know?
We're meeting on Friday to go over, button up some final issues.
Think
And
you'll do it by
then
the end of the year? or-
I think we may start, I've got my IT director sitting back there. We may start some implementation by the end of the year, but it won't be completed until, gosh,
If you can, I'd try to do payroll on January 1st.
payroll on the new software.
That way, I mean, if you're gonna do it the first of the year, because otherwise you can have 2 years on 2 different softwares, and it can cause problems with WQ reportings and things.
Okay?
But it's up to you if it works out that way, but, you know.
Okay. No, I appreciate that.
It's a different, how much more does that audit, this, what do you call the single audit that satisfies the federal requirement? How much more does that cost us, just out of curiosity?
Well, we
How
have
much
to
more
test-
involved is it?
we
Just
have to
kinda-
test 40% of your federal programs. And in order to do that, we have to pick which programs are the biggest ones, and sometimes it's more than one program to get to that threshold.
Yeah.
It's $2,000 per program.
Oh, okay. I just
Now, in
curious
this
what
case, next
our,
year, it's gonna be ARPA, it's gonna be,
yeah,
well over 40% just one program, so.
yeah. No, I was just curious what our opportunity costs were,
Yeah. And that's in the
We're
contract.
excited
It's-
when we get the money.
The fee for next year is the same as it was this year, but there's a $2,000 add-on for each program on single audit.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's a lot of work. I just,
Yeah, it's more all the time. So, okay.
Any other
I'll have 2
questions?
copies of the contract there and.
Debbie has your check ready, so if you want to run down there and grab it, you can. Yep, we'll get it back to you. Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you.
Any other correspondence there?
No, sir.
Any public comment, Janet?
No, sir.
Consent agenda, we have claim vouchers in the amount of $1,062.75. Tax change orders of a minus $143.40. Consider approving the minutes from the June 8th meeting, and consider the minutes of the study session minutes for June 13th.
motion to approve?
Second?
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, Jamie, consider approving and entering into a contract for commercial appraisal services.
It's that time of year again.
Yep.
Gene has been doing our commercial appraisals since 2019. That consists of about 500 commercial parcels, and then all of the exempt institutional parcels that we have to have a value for. But the work he does end up with about a quarter of all our assessed valuation. And I've been pleased with his work over the last 4 years, and he's become familiar with our market. He's become familiar with the types of business that we have, and I've been pleased. And I would recommend that this be approved.
I've asked you this, Jamie, but what was the amount of the contract last year?
It was $40,000, so he asked for another $2,000 this year.
Which was 5%?
5%, yes.
Increase. I don't have any real concerns with that, given inflation being what it is, and I would echo Jamie's sentiment. He's done a good job for us. Jamie's a fantastic appraiser. The commercial side isn't necessarily his background, so this makes a lot of sense. Similar to Rodney, actually, we've now got rapport with Gene, and it works out, so.
And there's only one of me.
I know it's a tough job doing appraisals, getting them right. Any other questions of Jamie?
And it's up to 42,000, it's not, so it's just up to, not over, so
No,
we might not spend that money.
That's his flat fee. And then if we end up going
boy.
to the Board of Tax Appeals, there would be some additional charges, but we've not had to do that with any commercial properties since he's been the appraiser, the commercial appraiser.
Is specific For affirmative action on this, make a motion to approve the contract for commercial valuation services from Eugene Bryan, the amount of $42,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we're gonna look at the health department now again, and see Brenda's here today. We talked about that at our study sessions. You wanna finish this up on this?
Yeah, so.
Good morning.
Met with Brenda and Pam yesterday and told Brenda I would help quarterback through this. We had this discussion on Monday. Brenda and Pam are both here if you have any more questions about it, but we've looked through the changes to the master fee schedule. Pam discussed the change of lab and then also beginning to charge a COVID administration fee. To be crystal clear, nobody's gonna be, if you're not insured, like we're not gonna turn you away, like we're not going to refuse the service. This is just consistent with what we're seeing across the state. So any further questions about that, please ask either of them. Otherwise, we'd look for a motion.
I was just thinking that if you went and did any of these at, like, say, if you went to get your COVID shot at,
Walmart or Walgreens.
they are turning them into your insurance company for sure.
Correct.
And so all we're doing is what everybody else is doing. And anything else that's on here, all these things that I didn't know you were doing. Yeah.
You bet. You bet.
Any questions of Brenda or Pam?
I've always said, we need to, I'd much rather see us do it this way, do small increments as you go along, rather than wait till the end. And actually, dollar-wise, we're better off doing this, the small increment. Plus, it's better for the community too, so I think it's a good deal.
Only thing came out of our discussion, Brenda, was just, the public needs to be a little bit more informed on what the health department does in general, because I
Bet.
was amazed at all these items that you do cover, so
You bet.
it's just kind of a
Yeah.
Yes.
suggestion.
So once we hopefully make and approve this motion, we'll discuss a schedule for Board of Health meetings, which would be a good venue, as well as we discussed yesterday, just having a general study session item. Brenda and Pam and whoever on their staff they see fit can come in and just have a meeting about the myriad services that the health department provides. And then certainly, Brent, they've got an aggressive plan for starting to push communication out on that, which is great. So I appreciated your questions, Ian, on Monday, because it did bring to light that there is this lack of knowledge out there, and we will get that fixed ASAP.
We want to make sure that, all the systems are in place, we're running well, and then I'd like to implement my marketing plan. But we got to make sure it's running smoothly and everybody in the health department feels good about it. And because, one of our best ways to advertise is definitely our own staff. And then, of course, pleased patients, right? And clients, so.
You know a thing or two about marketing,
I
Brenda?
think I do. And my husband will tell you, I'm not shy and I'll be happy to talk to anyone. So anyway, very excited. Of course, I've been in the health department for many years, and I know there's many, many wonderful services that you said it well. People don't realize what we do, but I'm excited to let people know. So, and speaking of the dates, I do have the dates for may I make a recommendation on the
Well,
dates?
let's get a motion on this.
Yeah.
Okay, great,
First of
thank you.
all, positive motion on this, make a motion to approve the proposed changes to the health department's master fee schedule, the change of reference lab vendor, and beginning to charge a COVID-19 vaccine administrative fee. That would be the motion.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Dunn.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Brenda.
Now, do you want to discuss Board of
Yeah,
Health?
you bet. We would, Pam and I would like the opportunity, as Derek said, to sit and visit with you all and educate, of course, learn what you're hearing in the community as well. And again, when people come together, we'd like to meet with you at your already planned studied sessions that are planned for September 19th and December 12th of this year. And then for next year, March 20th, June 12th, September 18th, and December 11th. Again, we just want to bring different ideas that how we'd like to grow, how we'd like to serve the community most importantly, and of course, get feedback and again, what you're hearing as well.
What was the March date?
Certainly, March 20th.
Okay.
Would that possibly
And
be?
these are all the study sessions on Mondays.
Yes.
Existing study session days, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay, thank you so much, appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Pam, for coming in too. Next item up for business is to review the truth and taxation notices to be mailed out in June. Janet?
So as you guys know, this
I mean
year.
August, not June. August.
As you guys know, this year we'll start being required to mail out truth and taxation notices for any taxing entity that is exceeding the revenue neutral rate. And so we anticipate that these first 2 years, the state will be paying for the cost for this. And so we anticipate that there will be more people exceeding the revenue neutral rate just because they won't have to pay the cost of it. After the first 2 years, it's my understanding that the entities that exceed the revenue neutral rate would then split the cost of the mailing. So for these first 2 years, the state's going to take the cost of it. And, but it could possibly exceed $10,000. So we wanted to get this in front of you guys because it'll have to be a purchase that we make and then we get reimbursed for. So I wanted you guys to be aware of that cost. We reached out to 3 vendors for this service. The Master's Touch is the first one, and that's who we currently use for our tax statements. And Jody has been very pleased with them. The second one was Postalocity, and we have used Postalocity in the past prior to switching to Master's Touch, and they're a very, very common mailing vendor. And then the third one that had kind of reached out to different members of my association, so I went ahead and got a quote from them, was Comtech. So the pricing was very hard to understand. 2 of the vendors weren't very forthcoming with breaking down the information and how the cost was going to be distributed. So I was able to pin them down on separating printing costs and postage costs. But neither one of them would give me, these are Postalocity and Comtech, neither one of them would give me any specific details about how much postage was, how much they expected, anything to fluctuate. In fact, I asked both of them, both Comtech and Postalocity, what are the things that could change our quote? What are the things that could make us go over in cost? And neither one of them would really give me a firm answer on that. On the other hand, the Master's Touch gave me a very detailed breakdown, how much envelopes cost, how much the printing of the paper cost, and I gave them all 3 the same information. We're estimating that we're going to print around 19,000 tax statements, which is the whole entire county. But they won't all go out in individual envelopes. So there is some variance there with the envelopes. So what I figured out for the Master's Touch, just kind of a common across the board, is 1 envelope and 1 piece of paper for every single tax statement. So that's 19,000 papers printed, 19,000 envelopes. But we will not need that many envelopes. Likewise, I did the same thing for postage. And like I said, I had no breakdown in Postalocity and Comtech's postage, but they did say that you can see there on the bid sheet, Postalocity said they expected to mail out 9,500 different envelopes. So they think that we're going to be able to consolidate that much from 19,000 down to 9,500. Just the knowledge of our tax statement process, the Master's Touch didn't feel like that was accurate at all, that they would be able to get it down that low. But we have no idea. Like I said, we couldn't get details. And Comtech said they thought they could get it down to 88.95. So we're really not sure how they figured that. Again, I asked them those details and they did not share. They just said that was in their experience, that it would get down that low. So anyway, the Master's Touch, though, will only charge us for actual postage costs. So we don't pay a cent more than what it costs them to actually send the postage. So the printing costs overall with the Master's Touch, you can see were significantly lower, although the postage costs seem to be higher, but that's only because we figured it on 19,000 envelopes, which we know we're not going to send that many. We just don't have a good estimate on how many we will actually send. So talking with Jody has bid this a couple times, and she gave me information that she had from when she's submitted bids to these, or asked for bids from these companies also. And we feel like the best option is to go with the Master's Touch. The Master's Touch also does the NCOA, which they check it against the post office and make sure we're mailing people to the correct addresses. They also do a system called CAS, which is my understanding they match addresses up with the post office to make sure we're sending things out like the post office would want it, with directionals on the streets and things like that. And in addition, the Master's Touch is going to give us IMB Trace for free this year, which is where they will put a tracer on, post office tracer on every envelope, and we'll be able to go into their system and see when our items got mailed out, when they hit the local post office, when they hit the post office of the person that is supposed to receive it, and then finally when it gets delivered to their mailbox. So we'll be able to see all of that information. So that's a really nice service that we're gonna get for free this year. So I would just ask, I know it's a lot of information, I would just ask that you approve us using the Master's Touch for this service this year.
Well, I know the postage is going up here pretty soon. I don't know what it's gonna be, but
And those were included in all, actually sent the bids back and asked each of them to update that with the new pricing, because I'm asking for this before July when the postage goes up. They all put the current postage rate and said, it's gonna go up. And I said, okay, well, give me the bid with the increased prices. The Master's Touch, again, was the only one that gave me a detailed pricing, and she said most of our letters, so like 95% of our letters should go at 45.5 cents each. But again, Postalocity and Comtech would not give me that breakdown of postage and assure me that we were only gonna pay actual costs of postage.
sounds like Master's Touch did the best job of explaining everything.
Yes, and she was very communicative. She, obviously being a salesperson, she travels a lot, and she was gone a couple of times during our correspondence, and she was very quick to get back to me. And she said, assuming this is approved today, she said we would still yet this week be in touch with the processing team and make sure that we have everything set to go, so we're not waiting till the last minute. They already have all of our logos from our tax statement and everything, so everything seems to be set for a really smooth transition for this.
Any questions for Janet on this? Pretty straightforward.
Positive response, we have authorized the county clerk to sign the quote with Master's Touch provide print and mail services for the 2022 Truth of Taxation notices.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Sotomayor? Yes. Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Dunn?
Yes. Thank you, Janet. Good staff reports, Derek. You wanna-
Yeah, thanks, Roy. Couple of things. One, tomorrow, we have got interviews for the executive coordinator position, interviewing 5 people. And frankly, I think we had more than 5 good candidates. So we'll see how tomorrow goes, and we'll certainly be in touch on that. Employee retention, that committee met on Monday. As you know, we've been talking a lot about, trying to increase the wages of our employees to keep up with our competitors. We walked through a proposed recommendation, which was unanimously agreed upon by employee retention, and those numbers are actually built into your budget books. So they are in there. That is the recommendation. My intention is on Monday and Tuesday of next week, when we're sitting down, is during each individual meeting, I will pull out the data and we can look at it, but I'm gonna warn you, this wasn't an exact science. I mean, the data that we're using from Anderson County and Miami and Lynn and Coffee, and it's all arbitrary. I mean, we don't know how they came up with their numbers or if there was any method to the madness at all. I mean, it tells us something in that we literally believe we know what they're paying certain positions, but it was a challenging process to get where we're at, but we'll talk about all of that on Monday and Tuesday. But importantly, I just wanted you to know that that is built in. So we have COLA in there, we have merit in there, and then we have the additional per the recommendation. So
Just to clarify, so you say it's far from an exact science, just because you're talking about the budget, you're talking about kind of the compensation study we did with other counties. We're getting a feel for what they're paying, but there's always going to be a lot of other factors like seniority,
yes,
job description,
that
odd things that one person may do or may not do and get compensated for.
and that's a lot of it.
Okay.
We have certain positions within this county. One, there's not comps for all of our positions.
All right.
2, what we call a clerk 2 may be called something different in another county, be called something different yet in a third county.
But just because we're talking about the budget, it's not an exact science, just wanted to clarify the part that's not an exact science, so.
But the budget is.
Yeah, no, we've got the budget itself. And I hope my finance officer would agree, down to an exact science, or as exact as we can make it. But this pay study, it's hard when other organizations are doing different things, using different methodologies, or potentially no methodology at all. And then you have outliers. So we tried to look at averages, but in some cases, you have some counties that, for reasons unbeknownst to us, I've just decided we're going to pay this position X amount, and it's like, well, wow, like, because nobody else. Well, that skews the average, and so we can get into the details on that. And then, one of the other things that you'll see is like department heads and assistant department heads. Those positions are all negotiated, and so we didn't put a lot of worry into what the averages were, because we know that when we hire for those positions, there's going to be negotiation that happens, and I know there is because I'm involved in it. So, but we'll take a deeper dive into that. I just wanted to give the 5 of you perspective on what it is that you're looking at there in your budget books. So,
And we could have paid $100,000 for a pay study, which
Yeah.
people do, and probably had the same non-exact science numbers, and not even know for sure how what they started with to get to those non-exact science numbers. So
We did do one right after I came in 13, and the information that you're going to see at your study sessions next week is far more detailed than what we got back from that vendor that we showed here at this meeting. So after that vendor got done, so I
And I
think
know there were
you
departments that
guys
weren't
will be
happy with
pleased
that
with
because we
all
actually- yeah.
with all the details that you're going to see. And there was a lot of back and forth and follow up with a lot of different entities, and you're going to see that in the information that you get on Monday.
wow, good job.
Looking forward to Monday and Tuesday, be a similar format to what we always do. If anything, we refine it a little bit. I mean, you've got some budgets that just, you know, Janet's got a pretty swift schedule put together, which I think is great. I mean, a lot of budgets, there's just not a lot of deviation from year to year. I mean, personnel is really one of the bigger ones. I mean, I think when you talk about public works, you talk about the sheriff's office, some of our bigger budgets, yeah, there's bigger deviations, and we've got more time allotted for those, but so many of our budgets are pretty standard.
What
year
time
to
are we
year.
starting on Monday?
I believe we have it starting at 9.
9.
I chose 9,
Not
just
8:30?
thinking maybe if we had something, we were originally going to do it this week, and so I already had it all scheduled for 9 o'clock in case you had something you needed to study before that. But we just kept the same schedule, so 9 o'clock is what we're planning to start at.
Okay,
I think that's all I have, Roy. Thank you.
okay, thanks for that update. I think we'll just start off with Paul, since he's been kind of dozing off there.
Paul, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Paul Bean. I've been absent. No, I've actually been doing a lot of meetings, so I apologize I haven't been able to come, but happy to be here today. Some quick updates on some things that FCDC is doing. The big item, I was at a regional meeting last Thursday, and starting July 1, Franklin County will be an e-community. That's an entrepreneurship community through Network Kansas. And that provides a lot of resources and opportunities for us across the county. Some of the high points, they have a youth entrepreneur challenge that what we'll work on is through the schools, 7th graders through 12th graders can participate by, basically they present a business plan, a business model, and it's a contest, and then regionally they would go on to if they won, they go on to the state, and there's a big contest in Manhattan, and awards and prizes for that, but it's a great way for our youth to understand business a little bit better, and it could be a lemonade stand, but they have to create a business plan for it, so I think it's a great program. Another item on this will provide access for new businesses or small businesses that are wanting to expand for gap funding. So if they're wanting to open up a business and they can get a loan for maybe 80% of that, and they've got the cash for 10% of it, we'll be able to look at providing gap financing for the other 10%. So it's another way to partner and assist those that are trying to start a new business here in Franklin County. We will also be able to sell tax credits. And so that'll be another opportunity for us to provide. It's a way, quite honestly, that as a partner with Network Kansas, we help fund this program. So as we sell tax credits, that helps fund the program, which helps fund these loans. But a lot of that funding is already been designated by the state. So it's a pretty cool network. There's 66 organizations in the state, and it's pretty competitive to be accepted. I've been working on this for over a year. So I'm really excited about it. We get some training opportunities for business and individuals, and just a lot of great opportunities. So I'm real excited about that. We'll do a formal press release in July, and I'm building a board for this. So we'll have an organizational meeting in July, and then Jen Laird is our regional support person, and she'll come down and we'll have a pretty heavy meeting on education and how we go about it and find out what kind of funding we have available in our county. So real excited about that opportunity. You get asked a lot about Proximity Park. I'll just tell you, right now with the economy, it's pretty quiet, and I kind of anticipate that's going to be the case for a while. There's so much uncertainty in the economy. We're not seeing a lot of activity. I'm not seeing many leads come from Commerce or KCADC at this point. I continue to send marketing pieces. I'll do research and find a company that I think might be a good fit and put together a packet and send it to their chief executive. I found one that was a vertical farm, and actually learned about them on Sunday morning, CBS Sunday Morning, and they're expanding they're in Wyoming, and they're expanding to 10 more locations, and so I sent a packet to their co-founder. And so just things like that, you continue to keep your eyes and ears open, and if you don't have a cork in the water, you're not going to catch anything. So continue to do that. The other program, we partnered with Miami County on a program called Size Up, and that's a software package that is another tool for businesses, small businesses that want to expand or locate in our community. They can find out what the competition is, how much do they pay their labor, where's the suppliers close by, what's the demographics of their particular target audience, where do they shop, what's, median prices and those types of things. So it's kind of a neat tool. And actually, Janet McRae and I are kind of a beta test for the e-community on this.
Janet McRae.
Janet McRae, I'm sorry. She's the Economic Development Director over in Miami County. And so we partnered with Miami County on this software. And like I said, we're kind of doing a beta test. And if it works, if it's a 2-year agreement, if it works pretty well, it's a great fit with e-community. And then e-community may consider adopting that as part of their package. So excited to be a part of that and be on the front end of those types of experiments, for lack of a better word. But continuing to push, we are going to co-host with the City of Ottawa on July 12th a meeting with developers and builders and contractors. I've got a meeting at City Hall later this afternoon to work through some details, but we're going to bring in one of the folks from the Kansas Housing to come and talk about what the legislature passed just recently for moderate income housing. And there's a program for historical buildings. So a lot of resources that the state's making available in the next year. And so we're going to try to pull people in, kind of educate them on those resources and give them a chance to visit. I've invited some folks from Wellsville to come down and be a part of that as well. So still working on those types of projects, housing, and kind of going at it from a lot of angles, but really feel like, all of this raises all boats, and to attract people to Proximity Park, we've got to show we're healthy in a lot of other economic sectors and in our education programs. So that's kind of what I've been up to, but I'm happy to answer questions.
The time of day on July the 12th, are you talking?
July 12th, it'll be at the old post office, and it's from 4 to 6:30.
6:30.
Yep.
Have we heard anything, I know, on the money the city got for the gas line and the water tower out there?
They had a meeting, and again, I wasn't able to attend that. They had a Zoom meeting, and I think they're planning on having that gas line in no later than sometime in 2023. There's some deadlines that it has to get done, and so the city's doing a good job of being on top of that. Richard's done a great job, and Melanie.
How about the water tower?
I don't know. I imagine that's all on about the same timeline, Don, because there's a deadline that those projects have to be completed. And so I imagine it's all by 2023, into 2023, it'll all be done, be my guess. Yeah.
You mentioned in your executive session about the arrangement with Wichita State.
Yes. Thank you, Roy.
I couldn't hear too well. So.
Yeah. And Dustin's helping me get a brand new computer, so God bless him.
Well, and to be clear, you mentioned your executive board meeting is what Roy is referencing.
Yeah, we had our executive board meeting earlier this month, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, we are purchasing a new labor shed study, which is pretty important as we recruit for Proximity Park and other businesses. The last one we had done was in 2015. And that was done out by Fort Hays. And Wichita State has a pretty robust economic program down there. And so we'll get a new labor shed study, should have it in the next 30 to 60 days. It's the same study that was done to support Edgerton, so it's pretty good report that we'll get to use. It's a little over $6,000. The other one I shopped was $25,000, so I went with the $6,000 one. But yeah, that'll be, I appreciate that, Roy. That's very important because that's, obviously, labor is the issue for a new company looking to come here. And so when your study is 7 years old, that doesn't bode well for you. It's very thorough, but it's 7 years old. So we'll have a new one here in the next 30 to 60 days, and that'll really help us. And I've already let Commerce and KCADC know that that's coming, and so they've all responded, said good. So thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. I forgot to mention it.
And I think that a labor shed study is going to give us an idea of what our labor pool looks like, obviously, but the next frontier is going to be, okay, how do we increase that? And what things does this community need in order to increase that? Do we need more houses? If so, what are we doing about that? Do we need childcare? If so, what are we doing about that? Because the decisions that get made day to day, week to week regarding housing, regarding childcare, those affect our ability to develop Proximity Park, and they have a palpable effect on that. And that's something that we're gonna have to figure out. I will tell you, we joke about, you know, we haven't seen Paul in a while. Paul works his tail off. Paul works his tail off, and I can't imagine getting a harder worker in that spot. And so anxious to see Paul, you know, see that effort get rewarded and start to see some of the fruits of that labor. And I think we'll get there, but it is going to take a concerted effort from all of us to try and start doing some of these things that we know we need done. So any other questions for Paul?
And I don't want to, I appreciate the comments, thank you. I also, and some of you were there, I think it's important that we celebrate Calmar's expansion. That's the same as getting a business that comes into town with 80 new employees. And we already know who they are, and we know how solid they are, and so that's a big, big win for us as a community, and I really tip my hat to Alan Wilson out there who leads that production. That plant is one of the top plants for that entire international company. And so we are very, very, very lucky to have that company here and so excited about that expansion. And I know you guys are, but I think it's important to remind the public that has occurred.
The $21 million investment in our community, that's huge.
Thank you. That's right, Ian. Thank you. It's not small change. So,
Versus, it's a different kind of job. I mean, not everybody wants to work in a warehouse. So you take somewhere like Edgerton where you have 20 different warehouses you could work at, but that's not for you. Then
yeah.
you don't have the aptitude or the desire to do that kind of job, then.
Thank you, Paul, for your,
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
anything for us?
I have one quick item that I just wanted to let you guys know about. Planning Commission is meeting tomorrow night for our normal meeting. And one item that they'll be having discussions on is just sort of, I think, reviewing our current setback requirements and just looking at whether we want to look at amending those to make them maybe a little bit more consistent across some of the districts and simplifying them. And also it would sort of help us as we do have a fair amount of variances that come through our office as well. And so as have approved a lot of those, I've sort of expressed that it would be better if we figured out what setbacks we're comfortable with and then try to set them to where hopefully it's just people come in, we can issue the permit rather than making them go through that process. So I think once we get through that, of course, that will come to you. But I think tomorrow night, I'm just sort of hoping to get some more feedback from the Planning Commission before I draft sort of the actual changes that would come to you guys. So
I think part of that process as well is is there a way to give Kenny some discretion at the staff level? I mean, I think amending the setbacks is fantastic, but is there also a way to give him some discretion? Because there's so many of these little oddities that happen. And I think in everything that we do across all 18 of our departments, there has to be a kind of and Kenny's good at this, but a common sense portion of the analysis, like, okay, this is what this says, but practically speaking, what this person wants to do, does this create issues? And if the answer is no, and if 10 out of 10 people would see that, then Kenny needs to have a mechanism by which he can just say, yes, like this, I'm gonna go ahead and grant this. So that's part of what we're looking at as well.
It might be 3 feet difference, but it's really not gonna make a difference to anybody, so.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some options that are in the state statutes that we're gonna try to look at that make it either a simpler process or, provide, I think, people more guidance. I do like for people to sort of know what is allowed and what they need to do. Consistency is, I think, something that's really important, so.
Yeah, I like that common sense approach, and like Derek was saying.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes tomorrow night.
We'll be talking about it soon, so.
Thanks, Kenny.
Jamie, do you have anything else?
Well, I'm always prepared to answer any questions.
No questions. Sheriff,
Morning. I just wanted to let you guys know, yesterday I was advised by the Bourbon County Sheriff that they are going to be temporarily closing their jail because of staffing issues. So they didn't feel that they could safely operate their jail. So they are going to be farming out all of their inmates. That could have an impact on us because some of the jails where they are going to be farming their inmates out to are facilities that we utilize as well. So yesterday, Kyle and Tammy were already working on making sure that we still have some spots that are reserved for us for when we do our project down there at the jail, so that we have places to put those inmates. Currently, haven't seen anything how that's going to affect the rates that we have to pay when we farm out. But where that could end up hurting us is at the places that they're going to send them, those are some of the least expensive places that we use. And so we may end up having to go to some other agencies in the future for our farm outs, but don't know how long that will last. They built a new facility down there here 2 or 3 years ago, I think. So, but again, it's just the staffing issue, which is why they chose to temporarily close it. I'll try to talk to them a little bit more and see kind of how long that may go. But on our side, on the staffing, we took down our job posting for corrections officers because we have our spots filled for now. We know that come August, when kids go back to college, we're going to have some vacancies then, but we're sitting pretty good at this point. So fortunately, we don't have the same issues that they do, but their issues could end up affecting us, down the road a little bit. So other than that, I would answer any questions you all have for me.
well, the main thing we've heard on the news around the country is economy of fuel for patrolling and all that sort of thing. And I don't know if you've adjusted it at all as far as utilization of patrols or.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a lot of area to cover, and sometimes it is going to take some fuel to get to all the corners of the county. So right now, we haven't changed anything. We don't have excess patrols out, but we're aware of the situation and what's going on there with the fuel, and we do monitor that pretty regular.
Okay, thanks, Sheriff. Any questions of Jeff? Thank you. Kyle, you have anything else? Dustin, anything? David?
Okay, so we've got, our road and bridge crews have been working on washouts, including one along Marshall Road just west of Nevada Terrace. We've also cleaned out several crossroad tubes and installed a couple of entrances lately. Currently, we've got a couple of minimum maintenance roads that we're doing some work on up in the far northwest portion of the county. And Friday morning, we are scheduled to begin working with the City of Ottawa and KDOT on pulling shoulders on Eisenhower along that whole stretch from the highway down to K-68. So all three entities will have staff and equipment working together to make sure that project goes quickly and smoothly. And so that's hoping that we get it done on Friday, but it's possible it may bleed over into Monday, but shouldn't last a long time. The meeting that I had scheduled last week with Hams to talk about our landfill and their landfill had to be postponed, but Pat and I are meeting with them tomorrow morning to go over that. And then finally, we've been watching a low water crossing on Virginia, just north of Marshall, over in the far east part of the county. We had planned to do some minor repairs to it later this summer. The recent heavy rains that we've had have really done a number on it. We've got an engineer with Cook Flat and Strobel coming down next Monday to take a look at it, discuss our options, but I'm anticipating having to replace that bridge this year. So as I get more information, I'll be presenting that to you all. And that's all I've got.
So Eisenhower Road, that, and the Bike Across America or Goffs, Kansas are coming in on Friday.
Yeah, so we'll
To reroute them.
we'll work with them to make sure that, might even be a little safer for them because we're not gonna allow, I don't think they're gonna allow vehicular traffic.
So you would still let them use?
Yes, ma'am.
Eisenhower Road? Do they
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some communication
Yeah.
on that. So we'll pay attention to them and we'll be working on one side of the road at a time. And so should go fairly smoothly. Maybe a little bit dustier for them, but they'll have space to travel safely.
Cool.
Janet?
So I have your budget books there for you guys today. It does not include everything. We are working to get them all printed. As you know, we updated the books with all the new salary information. So timeline, we just didn't get them all in there, but pretty much all of them are in there. I have a few back at the office and a few more to print. So I will get those to you on Monday. And then we have the revenues and the non-budgeted funds are not in there either because I had to get the audit before I could do that. And Rodney didn't think that he would have this book to us this morning. He, in fact, told me he didn't think he'd have me the data till Friday. So I just wanted to go ahead and get you guys as much as we can. Same as it was last year, the audited numbers are not in there again because I just got them today. So they shouldn't be too much different than what is in there. But if there's any super discrepancies, then I will definitely let you know when we do our study sessions. So I would just like to brag on Jamie while he's here. So he has done a really great job this season helping me with the all of the final valuation numbers. He got those to me very early, unlike a lot of my neighboring counties that I had to wait an extensive amount of time on past what deadlines we had set. But Jamie got me the real estate numbers, I believe back on the 23rd of May. And then yesterday I received word from the state that they had some questions about our valuation numbers. And I was way busy with your budgets to even look into that. But Jamie just took the reins on that, looked up all the budget numbers, found out what exactly they were, got it down to pretty much the penny on the 2 of the 3 questions. So I'm still waiting to hear back from the state, but I think that we provided her a lot of information and we're able to get exact details. So kudos to Jamie, and thanks for all of his help. So if you guys have any questions about the budget, as you're going through it here towards the end of the week and even over the weekend, feel free to reach out to me. I think each of you have my cell phone number, and I'll be in the office if you want to stop by and ask any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.
The other thing that hasn't been done yet, but that I would anticipate doing prior to noticing up a final budget number is we haven't had an ARPA discussion. If we use ARPA funds to offset some debt, we have time to do that. We just didn't have time prior to getting you those books. Practically, that should not matter at all, but that is something that I would anticipate us having in front of you in the next couple of weeks. Just because
Bond and interest is one page that is not in there, just because of that very thing. I wanted to take a look at a little bit deeper dive into that before we actually get that into your book. So that is one that I have not put in there yet. So.
Okay. Any questions of Janet? Thanks, Janet. Colt, you want to start us off with anything?
I need to share, thank you, though.
Diane?
I had a chamber coffee on Friday morning at Luigi's Italian Restaurant. They had shut down for a little bit because of employee issues. And anyway, they're open, and they just want people to know they're open and ready for business. They are open, I think, 7 days a week now. And she's also talking about expanding the menu to Mediterranean, having some Mediterranean options. So they were excited about that. The study session on Monday for the city, one of the things that came through there was that there's not going to be a fireworks show in Ottawa on July 4th. There are supply chain issues. Our fireworks are still in the middle of the ocean and will not be to Ottawa till the middle of July. And also, I believe Princeton also canceled their fireworks show, probably for the same reason. But the city of Ottawa is going to reschedule their show. They're going to do it on Sunday evening of Labor Day weekend. So we're still going to light up the sky, just not on July 4th. And maybe it won't be as hot. The chamber had their board meeting yesterday morning. Right across Kansas. It's going to be here on Friday evening. They're looking at an additional 800 people in town. They are planning a lot of things downtown. I think they're going to actually shut down 2nd Street from 2nd to 3rd. And people are going to have specials downtown. There's going to be a Travis Marvin concert at Legacy Square at 6. So food trucks, just whatever, if you want to come down and just be a part of that. And then United Way had their meeting yesterday evening. A lot of that was about a couple of events that they're planning. One is a golf tournament for a fundraiser. And then they're going to have a Unity Festival at Legacy Square. It's going to include games, entertainment, a corn eating contest, face painting, just a lot of things for the whole family. And that's all I have.
Okay. Rod, do you? I'm not mad. Don?
Kind of like remind everybody when Pat was in there the other day that tomorrow morning, I'm sorry. It is tomorrow night. Oh. I'm going to look at my deal again. June the 15th. Oh, all right. Guess I better be there, huh? Somehow I had it tomorrow. I don't know what the deal is there. But anyhow, it is. And the commissioners are all, just get hold of Pat. You want to come, and they'll be providing a meal. Franklin County sponsoring part of it, and Lake Region RT, and then a lot of other entities that are in the weed business. You know, I know it's not a real exciting topic a lot of times, but it is part of what we do, you know. So anyhow, I went to the Wellsville meeting the other night. Most of their meeting was of their budget person and talking about, like we're going to do, start our big discussions on their budgets and everything, and different things that they wanted him to look at before their talk started, and he informed them of things, maybe any rule changes or budget changes that they'd have to adapt what they do to. They did talk about they were going to move forward with financing on their new development of their police station and looking for financing on that part of that. They are fully staffed on their police department up there now. I mean, that's a big achievement for anybody anymore to say they're fully staffed. So bear with me on this one.
Don, before you transition from Wellsville, my understanding from multiple people is that their city council responded well
Yeah.
to the discussion
Yeah.
about the ambulance station and
Right.
the dispatch.
Well, I didn't go into that, but I can a little bit. He did discuss that, we come to more of a talkable agreement.
Yeah.
And the board all up there seemed to be real excited about moving forward with it. So we know, and the police chief said that there's a lot of things to work out yet.
Yeah.
A lot of wordage and a lot of agreements and so forth, but both sides has put an agreement on that they're ready to move forward.
And one of the next steps for me, so you talk about them working on financing. Well, my understanding is they're utilizing Kutak Rock and specifically Tyler Ellsworth, who we obviously utilize. I'm going to talk to him and see if he can help broker the agreement and finalize some of the details. We'll see how he feels about that, but just so the five of you know, I think both this board and their city council, I think you guys are on the same page at this point. So I'm excited, and now we're just gonna try to finalize it and bring it home. So.
I know Pat was there, and he recommended the Rock Association too, that they'd be a good group and recommended them to the city that they would be, past history had been good for both of us. Bear me on this one. I kind of want to update you a little bit on the Solid Waste Authority. I asked our Shay, our director, give me an update over the last 12 months, what she has done or worked or had happen. So the Solid Waste Authority was awarded $3,200 for a waste tire program for the city of Osawatomie. They was awarded through us a $3,500 grant to the city of Lewisburg for picnic tables and park benches. USD 416 Lewisburg was awarded $37,000 for mulch for new playgrounds, their schools. Trico, which is a business there in Paola, was awarded $4,300 for recycling bins and supplies. Lynn County was awarded $25,000, purchased 2 new recycling traders, and started a recycling program in 3 schools. Pleasanton was awarded $2,500 in a catch and can crush it program. And then there were 8 organizations within the Lake region applied for a KDHE waste tire grant program. There were 5 of them awarded. City of Garnett, $2,600. City of Williamsburg, $3,400. Trinity School in Paola, $9,000. Wellsville School District, $17,000. US 67, Ozone Osawatomie, $3,400. City of Lewisburg and Osage applied for them too, but they had got the grant before, so we wasn't able to get them any money. Lake Mary, Paola, $7,500. And also right now, we're working on a grant application for cans and crush it for $10,000. And what that's gonna do, Dave can tell you, it's gonna be a program where it's a recyclable, different kinds of recyclable bins, the different, like the fairs, the tractor show, car show, and then the other counties too. It's a visible bag underneath, and so people can see what they're putting in there, not for trash. It's for recyclables and be marked that way. And it's got an easy release deal where you don't have to take a big roll-off container, just snap another one on there and go with it. So that just kind of let you know that Shay Hanson, the coordinator we put on about 2 years ago now, has been doing a ton of stuff. I don't know if David I'm chairman of the management, just does the grant. David's the chairman of the whole board.
Yeah, she's not new anymore, but Shay has done an outstanding job, and you can see by the
the list that Commissioner just read, she has more than paid for her salary just in the grants and whatnot, that she has helped all of the communities in the Lake region be successful. So it is a completely different organization today than it was when I first started several years ago. And really, I think great things will continue to occur with Shay as our executive director.
I even mentioned the $7,500 grant that Franklin County got to purchase a new container trailer out there. That wasn't even on her list, so that's all I got.
Yeah, that's quite a bit, Don. Okay. Anyway, just a reminder, Monday and Tuesday, we'll be doing the budget starting at 9 o'clock on Monday. The commission meeting on the 22nd. I don't have anything else. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I got a sale on Big Guy.